Dear students in grade 9, good afternoon. Welcome to our seminar of English for today, in which we are going to talk about Unit 5 and Unit 6. Well, dear students, dear colleagues, as you know, in Unit 5, in Unit 6, we have a number of grammatical skills, of course. We have a number of texts, we have a number of exercises. When we talk about the grammar, we can talk about, of course, the present perfect, the past perfect, and the simple past. Then we can talk in Unit 6 about some relative pronouns, who and which, and maybe we can talk about the types of relative clauses. Then we can talk about some connecting words at the end of this seminar. We will try to cover some exercises in the activity book, of course. Well, dear students, hello again. Let me first welcome my dear colleagues in the studio who are going to participate me for today. Miss Lucia Karim, an English supervisor from Aleppo. Good afternoon, Miss Lucia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bassel.
Thanks for coming from Aleppo.
Thank you.
And Miss Lujain Al-Nuqari, an English teacher from Homs. Good afternoon, Miss Lujain.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thanks for coming from Homs.
Thank you.
Well, dear students, dear colleagues, we can start now about, let's say, it's better, I think it would be a good idea if we start with grammar. Miss Lucia, let me ask you first about the present perfect. As you know, maybe the present perfect, when the students deal with the present perfect, some of them get confused because sometimes they can mix between the present perfect and the simple past. For that reason, we will try in this seminar to clarify the uses of the present perfect and the uses of the simple past. There must be a connection between these two tenses. Why do we use the present perfect? When do we use the present perfect? What is the form of the present perfect? I think the answers will be clarified by your explanation. Thank you.
Actually, we use the present perfect to talk about events that happen in the recent past. When we don't mention specifically when the action happens.
Good.
For example, I've cut my finger. So I've cut my finger here. We don't have a specific time, or we don't mention it specifically. And at the same time, it happened in the recent past.
You mean the present perfect is used or can be used to talk about something happened before now?
Before now, but in the recent past. In the recent past. And no specific time.
And time is not important with the present perfect.
Yes.
There is no specific time.
And also we use it when we have something which happened in the past and its results happen now.
Okay, let's have some examples.
For example, if we
can use the laptop, of course. Thank you.
The cage is empty, so here the parrot has escaped. Here we've got a result in front of us. If we start to talk about the form of the present perfect, the present perfect form is have or has plus the verb in the past participle.
Yes,
here,
verb 3.
Yeah, verb 3. Here we've got have with the pronouns I, you, we, they, and has with the pronouns which are he, she, it, and of course all of them have got the past participle or the third form of the verb.
Okay.
Yes. We use the present perfect with just to say that something has been completed very recently.
Few seconds ago.
Few seconds ago, yes.
That's it.
So we use just in this sentence. For example, I've just finished reading the book. So
it
here
means that you finished reading it few seconds
ago, and it actually completed very recently.
Good.
We use the present perfect with already to say that something has been completed in the present or past. For example, I've already read that book. Here, in this sentence, we talk about something which has been completed in the present or past because we said the word
when we use already, it means that we have done something before now.
Yes.
That's it. We have done it. We have achieved it.
Yes.
Good.
I've read that book already. Here we talk about the place of already.
Good.
We can put it
after verb to have,
verb to have, or the main verb,
or at the end of the sentence.
Yes.
We can use it at the end.
At the end, of course. We can use it at the end of the sentence. We use the present perfect with yet to say that something hasn't been completed by the time of speaking. Example, I haven't read this story yet, but I will read it soon. Here, something which is not completed, which I haven't read the story yet. So in this case we use yet at the end of the sentence, but here we have something which has not been completed.
Or done.
Or done.
Or done. Yes.
Salma hasn't finished her project yet. The same.
It means that she is working on the project.
She's working on the project.
But she hasn't finished the project yet. Up till now.
Yes.
Up till now. Till this time.
Till it's not completed.
Yes.
Till the time of speaking, it's not completed yet.
Yes.
We use the present perfect to talk about events in the recent past when no specific time is mentioned. As we've said before, here no specific time is mentioned in the sentence. For example, I've cut my finger, no specific time in this sentence, because here we say that here is different from the past simple, because in the past simple we've got the exact time in the past.
Yes.
We mention it in the past, but in the present perfect we don't mention the exact time that happened in the past.
Yes.
Have you been to the doctor during the last 2 months?
So here some students may think that the last 2 months or during the last 2 months, this phrase is a specific time. It is not a specific time indeed. It is a duration.
A duration of time.
We can replace it by or with the word recently. Recently may mean, let's say, 2 months, 2 weeks, 1 week. It depends, right? So during the last 2 months, it means recently.
And here is the difference between present perfect and past simple.
Yes, you're right.
In the past simple, we have a specific time mentioned. Many indicators can indicate us that this is a past simple. Like
keywords.
Yes, like yesterday.
Yes.
Like last week.
We're going to talk
month.
about the simple past, of course. Thank you, Miss Lucia. And the last example, she has visited
her aunt. The same.
Means that she has done this before now.
Before now, yes. And we didn't mention anything concerning
the time. No specific
as you said. Time.
It is wrong to use specific time with the present perfect.
And this is the difference between
students should know this.
Present perfect and past simple.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. And now we can talk, Ms. Lujain, about the simple past.
Yes, as we mentioned.
First of all, when we talk about the simple past, would you please give the students an idea about the form, the uses, some examples? Thank you.
Of course, the simple past talks about the events that happened in the past. How do you know it happened in the past? Because of some keywords like yesterday, last week, last night, last evening, etc.
Would you please give us some examples?
Like for example, I passed the exam.
So the first use here, Ms. Lujain, as you said, we use the past simple to talk about finished events in the past, as you said. And when a specific time in the past is mentioned in the sentence.
Of course.
Good.
We have to have a specific time.
Now we have examples here.
Yes. Like I passed the exam last year. We played basketball yesterday. We have...
He moved to Canada when he was 5.
I told you the story 5 minutes ago. We have yesterday, we have last year, we have 5 minutes ago.
Or
the word ago.
Or a clause. We can have a clause. As in the first example,
yes, he moved to Canada.
He moved to Canada
when he was 5.
So here it is a clause. It is not a specific time. But this clause refers to something specific in the past.
Yes.
When he was 5.
Yes. When he was 5, it's a clause.
What did he do when he was 5?
He moved to Canada.
To Canada. So or when did he move to Canada?
When he was
5.
Yes. So in these sentences, we have the subject, the pronoun. Moved, it's a regular verb. We form it by adding ed.
Good.
All the regular verbs are formed in the simple past by adding ed.
Good.
Of course, we have irregular verbs.
What about told now here? Told is not regular.
No. The present is I tell you the story. The past is I told you the story 5 minutes ago. And this is the simple past. But about the past perfect, yes, we have to talk about the past perfect. It's formed with the had and past participle,
the past participle
or the verb
of the verb or verb 3.
Yes, we have 3.
Yes.
We use the past perfect to describe something that happened before a time. or another action in the past.
For
Here
example?
we have to have two actions. By the time we arrived, the play had already started.
So here we have two actions.
Two actions. We
Arrived.
arrived, the play started.
Good.
By the time we arrived, the play had already started.
It means, of course, that the play started before our arrival.
Yes.
Before our arrival.
Yes.
So by the time we arrived, something else had happened before.
Which is the
Yes.
play had already started.
Yes.
Yes. I had already cooked the dinner by the time my mother came home. So my mother came home. I had already cooked the dinner.
It means
the
that
action
I have finished.
of cooking
I had finished
Yes,
cooking
cook-
before my mother
arrived home. Yes.
Yes.
We have two actions in these sentences. We use it also. We use the past perfect to talk about a situation, state, feeling, or action also in the past. For example, Tariq felt nervous because he had never flown before.
Why did Tariq feel nervous, or why was he nervous?
Because he had never flown before.
Because the reason, of course, there
Yes.
must be a reason, and the reason happened before he felt nervous.
Nervous. That's
So
why he felt
That's
nervous.
why we use the past perfect
Yes.
here.
State, feeling. or-
Yes.
When I read the letter, I couldn't stop smiling. I'd passed all my exams.
So this is the reason.
This is the
because
reason
I passed,
I was
laughed.
happy.
I was happy, yes. Yes.
So here we have, when I read the letter, I couldn't stop smiling. I'd passed all my exams. This is the past perfect.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I think, thank you, Miss Lujain,
Thank
Miss
you,
Lucia. I think the explanation was very clear for these three tenses. Now we can talk about something else, something different. As you know, we have some relative pronouns in English. Of course, we have more than who and which, but in grade 9, dear students, only two relative pronouns are mentioned in your book, who and which. Of course, we can replace sometimes which by using that.
Yes.
And there is a mentioning of that in our explanation. We are going to talk about it. So we can use her, which, and who. What about these relative clauses, relative pronouns, Miss Lucia? Would you please give us an idea about relative pronouns?
Actually, we use relative clauses when we want to identify which person or thing we are going to talk about. In this case, we use the relative clauses and we put the relative pronouns which are who, which, or that.
Okay. I think it would be a good idea if we give examples,
Yes.
because the students need some examples to practice with us.
For
Okay.
example, Jill, I saw Natalie Parker the other day. Tom, Natalie, the woman who lived in the upstairs flat.
So you are asking about, you want to make sure, the person here,
Yeah.
or Tom, wants to make sure
So
about of something
just
about
asking.
Natalie, right?
The woman who lived in the
Do
upstairs
you mean,
flat?
that's it. Do you mean the woman who lived in the upstairs flat?
Exactly. Jill answers and said, no, Natalie is the student who failed all her exams. She's working in a shop in the mall now.
So she's talking about a different Natalie.
Yes, about different
Okay.
Natalie.
Yes.
And the shop that sells leather goods.
Good.
Here we talk about Natalie, a person. In this case, we use who.
So the clauses here, or the relative clauses, are all written in red here in these examples to clarify or to focus on them. The first relative clause is who lived in the upstairs flat.
In the upstairs
Second
flat.
one, who failed all her exams.
Who failed all her exams.
And the last one.
And the last one we talk about a thing. So here we put that.
Sells
and of
leather
course,
goods.
and of course we can use which at the same time
course.
with things.
Okay. What about the relative pronouns now? Who, which,
So,
and that?
About the relative pronouns, in this case, who for person and which for things. Who and which go after the noun and at the beginning of the relative clause. Who refers to people and which refers to things
So
as we've mentioned before.
we use who or which after the noun directly.
Directly.
And we use who for people to refer to people. and which to refer to things.
things.
Good.
Example, I don't like people who tell jokes all the time.
Of course, if we stop here, I don't like people, it means that I hate all people. It is wrong to say that. So this man doesn't like some people. Which people does this man, let's say, hate? The people who tell jokes all the time.
The answer is
Not all people, of course.
in the relative clause, which
Yes.
is who tell jokes all the time.
Yes.
So we specified here, or we identified which people this man hates or don't like.
Good.
Another example, there are several restaurants which do great lunches. Here we talk about restaurants. In this case, we've got a thing, and we have which instead of who, because with things we use which instead of who.
Good. So here, because we are talking about restaurants, we use which, as you said. People, we use who. That's it. Okay.
Yes. We can
what about
always,
that, Ms.
yes,
Hussein?
we can always replace who and which by that.
Good.
It has the same meaning. We can use that instead of who or which.
Not only
for
which.
example,
Sometimes we can use that
Yes.
instead of who.
Yes.
Yes.
For example, Mrs. Bryant is the woman who, or that, we can use the both, owns that enormous house. Here we are describing Mrs. Bryant, or identifying Miss. We saw the actual spacecraft which, or that, landed on the moon.
Again,
Yes, we can
we
use.
are identifying here the
Yes.
actual spacecraft.
We can use which, or we can use that. They
Yes.
has the same meaning. With people, who is more usual. With things, that is more usual instead of
So,
which.
We can use both sometimes,
Yes.
but
Actually, we use them,
actually
but that
we use who with people,
With
and
people,
that with
that,
things.
yes,
Because
is
who
more-
is more usual
more
than
usual, yes.
that
Yes.
with people.
yes.
Good. But sometimes it is correct. Yes, both of them.
A relative pronoun who, which, and that can be the subject of the clause.
Good.
Yes.
As a subject and an object.
Yes.
Yes.
First case, as the subject, the man who has bought the house comes from London. This is the subject of the
Yes,
verb.
yes, the man.
The man
Yes.
who has bought the house comes from London.
Yes.
The photo which took first prize was of a farmhouse.
Again, it is a subject.
A subject, yes. The letter that came, here we use that, came this morning was from my sister.
It is a subject.
Also a subject.
So here we use all these three relative pronouns
As subject.
as a subject.
Yes.
Good.
And we can, the relative pronouns can also be used as objects, as object of the sentence. Like, for example, the man who or whom you met yesterday is my friend.
So
You met,
the first sentence
Yes.
here, let's talk about the main clause. The
Yes.
main clause was, the man is my friend.
yes,
This is the first clause. The second clause, I met him yesterday.
Yes.
So if we try to join or to connect these two clauses in one sentence, because we are talking about the man.
Yes.
Which man is your friend? You said, the man is my friend.
that you
Which
met.
man?
That you met
The man
yesterday.
I met. So I met him yesterday. So
Yesterday.
here, whom or who can be used
Yes.
in this situation,
Yes,
but both refer to an object,
object, yes.
not a subject, because
Yes.
the man here is not the doer
No.
of the action,
No.
right?
Yes. Another example, are these the cakes which Helen baked?
Yes.
So, Helen baked cakes, and these are the cakes that Helen baked, so they are also object of the sentence. Another example, the TV program that we missed. So, we missed a TV program, this is the object, is repeated this evening.
Yes.
Here, we use the relative pronoun as an object also.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Miss Lucia. In fact, we have added a new pronoun. It is mentioned sometimes in the book of grade 9, but it is not, let's say, focused on directly. I mean, it is not mentioned in a grammatical books here or there,
Yes.
but in the text in general, it is used sometimes. So I think it would be a good idea to focus on this relative pronoun to make them able to understand why we use it. I mean whose, of course. So what about whose, the relative pronoun?
The best way to know how to use whose is to replace it by possessive adjectives in the sentence itself. If you replace whose with the possessive adjectives and you find that the sentence makes sense and it's correct, so it's in the right place.
Okay.
Let's have an example. Samir is the boy whose passport is out of date. Here, whose passport, we can use instead of whose passport, his passport. In this case, the use of whose in this sentence is correct. We can't say who or whom. In this sentence, we have to put whose because here we can replace it
There
with
is a
the
position.
possessive adjective.
And we have a possessive adjective in the second clause. I mean, there were two clauses. The first clause was Samir is the boy. The second clause, his passport is out of date. When we try to connect or to join them in one sentence, we need to use a relative pronoun. Because we have position, as you said, possessive adjective, we can replace the possessive adjective to relate, let's say, this information to the boy who is Samir.
Samir.
So Samir is the boy whose passport
Whose
is
passport.
out of date. Again, another example.
Another example, the girl whose photo was in the paper lives in our street. The same thing, whose photo, here we can replace whose with her, so we can say
Her photo was in the paper.
In the paper.
Or in the newspaper, and the girl lives in our street. So when we try to connect or to join them in one sentence, we need to replace her
replace her with whose.
with whose.
Here, whose passport means his passport, and Samir's passport, as we've mentioned before.
Yes.
The same thing is applied to whose photo, which is her
So,
photo.
dear students, you should know that we use whose when we have position. When we have position. When we want to talk about something which belongs to someone
Yes.
or a person,
Yes.
whether this person is male or a female, right? Then, what about now the two types of relative clauses? I mean, the students may ask an important question.
What's the benefit
When
of
you
the
are talking
use?
about relative clauses, okay, and we know the relative pronouns, okay, what is the purpose of using relative clauses? Why do we use the relative clauses? What are the types of relative clauses? Please.
Here we've got two types actually.
Yes.
Identifying clauses and adding clauses. If we start with the first type, identifying clauses, let's have an example to talk about them. I'm sure I know the person who invited us. Here, I'm talking about a person. I want to identify this person. In this case, I have to put here relative clause in case that I want to identify this person. And here, of course, I put who for person because we've mentioned before that which for things. And we put the rest of the sentence. And here, who invited us is the relative clause, which is used as identifying clause.
Good.
Another example, the man whose car was stolen had to stay the night. Here, of course, we identify which man, the man whose car was stolen.
If I say the man had to stay the night, you will ask me, sorry, Mr. Bassem, which man are you talking about? So I need to identify or to define this noun to you. So I have to use a relative clause to give you more information about this man in order to make you know about him.
That's it.
That's it. This is the purpose. Simply. The man whose car was stolen. Now I know which man you are talking about. Another
example. Towns which or that attracts tourists are usually crowded and expensive. Here we talk about a thing which is town, and we put which or that, and we want to identify which towns which attract tourists are usually crowded and expensive. To say that they are
because
crowded
it is wrong
and
to
expensive.
say in general towns are usually crowded and expensive. Not all towns
are
So
used.
I need to talk about something in specific.
And identify
To define or
towns.
identify which town, or to define the towns I'm talking
towns
about.
that
To
attract
say which
tourists.
towns. So I need to use a relative clause, as you said. And here, with identifying clauses or defining clauses, we don't use commas, of course. We don't use commas. Why? Because we cannot omit this identifying clause, because if we try to omit it, the meaning would not be complete. Right?
Yes.
So here we don't use commas with identifying clauses.
Because now in the next type we're going to use commas.
That's it.
And this is the difference.
So as you said, these clauses
identify which person and which towns the speaker means.
Yes.
So all about is identification.
Yes, yes.
Adding clauses. Now we move to the second type, which is adding clauses. Let's have an example. Andrew, who served us, is the owner of the restaurant. Here we've got the relative clause, which is who served us. Here we've got something different. Here we have commas. Here we can omit the relative clause
because we know Andrew.
Because we've got an extra information here. So it's adding clauses from its name. So here we add information about the person that we're talking about.
We are not defining the noun.
Without this.
We are not defining.
Yeah, here we don't have.
We are just, let's say, adding
Just
more
adding
information about
yes.
Andrew. So extra information, let's say.
So if we omit the sentence, we can say Andrew
is complete.
Yes, Andrew is the owner of the restaurant, so the meaning is complete.
Yes.
Yes.
Another example, Mr. Sami, whose car was stolen, had to stay the night. The same thing, between two commas, whose car was stolen is the relative clause. If we decide to omit it, it's okay because here it's an adding clause.
He is Mr. Sami.
Mr. Sami
He's well known to
had
all
to
of us.
stay the night.
So I'm trying here just to give you more information about Mr. Sami.
Yes.
And maybe you don't know that his car was stolen, so I'm trying to give you this
just to add information.
Yes.
Damascus, which attracts many tourists, is the capital city of Syria.
All people all over the world know Damascus, so we are just adding information.
Adding information about Damascus, which attracts many tourists. If we just try to omit this sentence, we can say Damascus is the capital city of Syria, and the meaning is complete.
You're right.
These clauses add extra information to something already identified. So here we don't have any kind of identification.
All these nouns are already identified.
None.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Lucia. I think it's a good explanation about relative clauses, adding clauses, or identifying clauses. Now we can move on, Miss Jane, to talk about something different.
Yes.
Sometimes we need to, let's say, connect or join two ideas together. I mean two clauses. So we need some words. We call them in English connecting words, joining words, linking words, whatsoever. So let's talk about some words, please, some connecting words.
Yes, these words are that we are talking about are called linking words. They are used to add ideas together to contrast the meaning or show the reason for something, such as when, while, after, as soon as, etc. Before. Many linking words. Many types of linking words. First type is time words. We use them. They are when, while, or as, etc. For example, my leg hurts when I walk. When does my leg hurt? When I walk. So
this word is called a time word.
Yes.
It is related to time. We
Yes,
know that.
it's a linking word related to time. When. I heard the news, another example, I heard the news on the radio as or while I was driving home.
Yes.
This is another linking word which is while or as.
The same meaning, as and while.
Yes.
Sometimes they have the same meaning.
Yes, they are used as the same. During the time when I was driving home.
This is the meaning of as and while.
Yes, during the time. Another example, when or after the speaker sat down, no one knew what to say.
Good.
When and after also are related to time. They are linking words related to time.
Good.
Another linking word or other linking words like as soon as. For example, as soon as I'd left the house, it started to rain.
Good.
This means immediately after I'd left the house, it started to rain. This at the same time.
Yes.
Another example, I must get to the post office before it closes. This is another linking word that is related to time, which is before.
Yes.
So we have, I must get to the post office before it closes. Another example, you have to wait until the light changes to green.
Yes.
We have here until. Up to the time when the light changes to green.
You have
You
to
have
wait
to wait
until the
until
light
that
changes to
time.
green. So
Yes.
when the light changes to green,
You have to wait.
I have to wait.
Yes,
Till that time.
till that time.
Yes.
Another example, I have been sad since you left. From the time you left. Here we have since. This
Up
is
till now.
another. Yes, this is
Since-
another linking word.
Since, let's say, links between the past and the present.
Yes,
From
can
that
use-
time up till now.
until now.
This is the meaning of since.
Yes.
Yes.
We have other linking words such as but, although, and in spite of. For example, the jacket was nice, but it was too small. Here we have but.
Why do you use it here? What
con-
is, I mean, the relation between these two sentences?
Here we
the
use
jacket
but.
was nice, it is something good,
Yes.
but it was too small, something not good. So there
Yes.
is a
Contrast in the
between
meaning
them.
between.
So when there is
the
a
two
contrast, we use but
But,
to connect
yes.
between two ideas.
Yes.
Yes.
Although I liked the sweater, I didn't buy it.
Here again, although can be used to talk about something or a result which is not expected.
Yes.
Unexpected
Yes.
result. Though or although I like the sweater, I didn't buy it.
Yes.
It's okay, I liked it, but
I didn't buy it.
buy it. So although I liked it, I didn't buy it.
Yes.
Okay. What about
Another
the last?
example about another linking words which is in spite of. Tom felt perfectly calm in spite of danger.
Now, after in spite of, we need to use a noun,
Yes.
not a clause.
No.
So it is wrong to use a
clause
clause after in
in
spite
spite
of, but
of.
we need to use a clause after although.
Yes, after all. Now we have linking words we use for purpose. To, like to, in order to, so that, and for. To purpose, to, for purpose. For example, we can use the to plus infinitive to say why someone does something. What is the purpose of doing that thing or of that action?
Yes.
For example, most people work to earn money.
So why
So-
do people work?
To earn money.
To get money or to earn money?
Yes. So we have to plus infinitive.
Yes.
We went, another example, we went to the library to get some books. Why did we go to the library?
To get some
To
books.
get some books. There,
This is
here
the
we have a
purpose.
purpose or we have a reason.
Yes.
Another one is in order to. This is more formal than to. To.
But they have both
The same meaning,
to
yes.
or in order
We
to.
use them to know the
But as we
purpose
said,
of doing
in order
something,
to is more formal.
or
yes.
to know the reason of doing something. For example, the government took new measures. Why? In order to reduce crime. Fuad was hurrying in order to miss.
And of course,
in order
let me
not to
focus
miss
on, sorry
history.
for interruption.
Yes.
Measures here in the previous example is not a verb, of course. It is a noun and it refers to, let's say, decisions. The government took new decisions,
Yes.
for example, new procedures, measures in order to reduce crime.
Yes.
New steps, let's say that.
Yes.
Okay, the last one.
Fuad was hurrying in order not to miss his train. Here we have the negative
In
form
order
of
not to.
Yes,
So this
the
is
negative form of in order to, in order
not to.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have the last one, which
Yes.
is so that.
Good.
The same meaning, for purpose or for reason. After so that we use, this is an important one, a subject and a main verb.
A clause, you mean?
Yes, a clause. Farmers cut down trees so that they have more land for growing crops. We have they, the subject, have the main verb and the rest of the sentence.
Yes.
Another example, I will post the card today so that it, here is the subject, gets the main verb and the rest of the sentence
Yes.
there no time.
So that it gets there on time.
Yes.
Good.
These are the
You're talking
linking
here about
words.
the consequence or the result. So that is used to refer to some consequences,
Yes.
some results in the future.
In the future, of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that's all
About linking
about
words.
the grammatical skills in both units. Now we can do some practice, some exercises. Let me start with you, Miss Lucia, please.
Choose the correct word in brackets. Number 1, Mrs. Hayek, who or which is a teacher at my school, is leaving soon. Here, dear students, we have to choose between who and which. Of course, here we have to put who because Mrs. Hayek is a person, as we've mentioned before. So here we don't have a thing. We have to put who instead of which. The correct answer is who.
Yes.
Another
Next.
example might be
Okay.
the charity who or which is based in France has several projects in Africa too.
So
Here we are talking about the charity. So
Yes.
the charity is not a person, it's a thing. We have to choose which.
Good.
The charity which is based in France has several projects in Africa too.
Number 3, my cousins who or which live in Denmark email us often. My cousins, person, here we've got person, so we have to put who instead of which. The correct one is who.
Of course.
Thank you for taking me to the exhibition, who or which I enjoyed a lot. We are talking about an exhibition, so we choose
It
which.
is a thing, not a human
Yes,
being.
of course.
So we need to use which, not who.
Yes.
Very
Another
nice.
activity.
Yes.
Join the sentences, use who or which. Number 1, I spent a weekend by the sea. It was wonderful. Now we have to change and put who or which. I spent a weekend by the sea, which was wonderful. Here we put which because we talk about sea and we have to use which with things. And we linked the two sentences as a relative clause, of course, here, and we put which was wonderful.
Yes.
Yes, another one about which. The earth is getting hotter. It's causing the ice caps to melt. We are talking about the earth. The earth is getting hotter, which is causing the ice caps to melt. Here, the earth is a thing, not a person, so we used which.
Good.
Here we've got only one note that in the two sentences, here we identify things. Because now in the following examples, we are going to add information.
Yes.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
we are going to join now sentences which we add information in the relative clauses.
Okay.
We are going to join the sentences using who or which as well. Number 1, my uncle is coming to visit us soon. He works in a hotel. Now we're going to link the two sentences. My uncle, who works in a hotel, is coming to visit us soon. Here, the relative clause, who works in a hotel, is a relative clause, but here we add extra information.
Yes.
So if we decide to just omit the sentence, it will be okay because it will not affect the meaning.
Yes.
My uncle is coming to visit us soon, and the meaning is complete. But here we add information about my uncle who works in a hotel.
Good.
Yes. Another exercise. tourists come to Syria, they usually go to Palmyra. So here we are talking about people, we use who. Tourists who come to Syria usually go to Palmyra. We used who because tourists, people, not things.
Another activity. Choose the correct word. Number 1, I'll phone you until or as soon as I arrive. Here we put as soon as I arrive because we've got here time. We mention as soon as because I'll phone you as soon as I arrive.
Not until.
Not until.
I always brush my teeth before or as soon as I go to bed. Of course, I brush my teeth before I go to bed.
Number 3, I hope I manage to see you until or before you go on holiday. Here, I manage to see you before you go on
But
holiday.
not until you go on holiday.
But not until you go on
Yes.
holiday.
When or after a few hours I got tired of playing video games. Of course, after a few hours I got tired of playing video games.
It is wrong to use when here because we need a clause after when.
Yes.
We cannot use it. After a few hours, after a short time, I got tired of playing video games. Okay?
Number 5, as soon as or when you see Hind, tell her I said hello. When you see Hind, of course, tell her I said hello.
Now another exercise, choose the correct word.
Yes.
Fadia didn't go to school yesterday in order to or because she felt ill. Here we have a reason, so we used because she felt ill. Yes.
I went to the post office to or because buy some stamps. The correct answer here is to, and we talked about this. We've got the verb directly here. We have to put to instead of because.
Yes.
Ahmad went to the airport in order to or so that meet his brother Khalid. We mentioned that so that, after so that we have to use the subject and the verb.
Yes.
So here we have the verb. We choose in order to.
Also, we have a purpose here.
Yes, we
Ahmed
have a
went
purpose.
to the airport. Why?
We have
to meet
to
his
meet
brother. Or
in order to meet
Okay.
his brother Khalid.
The last example, people write things in their diaries in order not to or so that forget important things. The correct answer is in order not to forget important things.
So this is
here
the
we've
negative
got the
form.
verb
Yes,
negative
negative
form.
In order to.
And
In
of
order
course
to.
we've got here the verb directly after in order not to.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Well,
Mr.
that's
Bassel.
everything about the grammatical skills in Unit 5 and in Unit 6, dear students. Before we have a break, let me remind you that you can contact us by using the phone numbers shown at the bottom of the screen. Please call us if you need something. We'll be glad to help you or to answer your questions. Dear students, dear colleagues, let's have some or a short break, then we can go back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again, dear students in grade 9. Welcome back to our seminar for today, in which we are talking about Unit 5 and Unit 6. As you know, before the break, we talked about the grammatical skills found in Unit 5, Unit 6. Then now we can talk, dear colleagues, about some texts. We can discuss some main texts in Unit 5 and in Unit 6. Then we can do some exercises, some important exercises, in fact, especially in the activity book. Again, I'd like to remind you that you can call us to ask about anything in Unit 5, anything in Unit 6. We'll be ready to answer your questions. Not only, in fact, in Unit 5 and in Unit 6, you can ask anything you like. Miss Lucia, I think in Unit 5 here, we have a text at page maybe 40, am I right?
Yes.
Page 40, The Buried City, which is episode 3. It's about Tariq and Hussein, these two friends. Now we are in episode 3, or part 3 of the story. So, as you know, something happened with Tariq and Hussein when they visited the unburied city. Am I right?
Yes.
What happened to them? What about, let's say, the story? Would you please give us a conclusion or some information, some details, what happened to them when they arrived? For example, who went with Tariq and Hussein to the unburied city?
Actually, when they went to the unburied city and went to the amphitheater, which is a circular theater, after that they get lost.
Yes.
And
so who went with them?
Mr. Hamad, no one went
Nadia
with
and
them.
her parents.
Nadia and
their
her parents. They afterwards looked
Yes.
for them because they get lost. And they took the guard with them
Yes.
and looked for them, but unfortunately they didn't find them.
Yes. That's it. So they wanted to visit this archaeological site, but after some time, Tariq and Hussein were lost, and they began to look for
them.
the two boys. Did they find them? Could they find them?
No, unfortunately, they
Up to
couldn't.
They
now,
couldn't. Up
they
till now.
couldn't.
They
They
couldn't.
couldn't.
They couldn't. Yes. So Tariq said that he wanted to visit the amphitheater, right? And he said that it was beautiful. Mr. Hamad allowed them to go there, but after a time, maybe they were lost. They didn't go back.
The family waited for them,
Yes.
but they didn't
The family
come back.
waited for an hour. Then Mr. Hamad contacted the security guards to look for them. There were 5 men, and they went off to look for the boys. The sun was sinking when they came back to the car, but without the boys. That's it. So it's a nice story, in fact.
And the students get excited to know the rest of the story.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But here, maybe there are some questions about the text, of course. In exercise maybe 2, we have some questions about this story. What happened to the boys, for example?
For example, the first question, what did Tariq and Hussein's family visit? The answer is they visited the site of an ancient city,
Yes.
which is the buried city in our book.
Yes. What did Nadia try to do? Mrs.
Nadia
Jane?
tried to phone Hussein with her mother's mobile phone,
But-
but he didn't answer.
Why? Maybe because
They get
his
lost.
mobile phone was
Later on,
switched
we
off,
know why. Yes.
right?
We don't want
or
to know
because
the-
the signal was weak.
The answer, we don't
Because
want to know
we don't
the
know the
answer
answer.
now.
Do you want me
We
to
don't
tell
know
you the answer?
She couldn't. There was no
She
signal.
couldn't.
There was no signal.
Yes.
But
Simply.
later on we will find why he didn't
Yes.
answer her phone.
Yes.
Yes. There are many possibilities, in fact,
Yes.
Miss Lucia, but because maybe we know the
No,
story.
now we know.
But until now, we don't have an answer. Now, when we go on to page maybe 44, here, page 44,
Yes.
we can see a number of texts about, let's say, a number of scientists.
Yes.
Ibn Sina, for example, Al-Razi, and we have Galen and Hippocrates, the ancient Greek doctor.
Yes.
Now let's talk about Ibn Sina.
They are all specified in
What
this.
was or who was Ibn Sina?
Yes.
It's okay.
تفضل.
Ibn Sina is a Muslim doctor, philosopher, and scientist born in...
An artist.
Yes.
When
born
was
in
he
nine-
born?
He was born in 980 CE in Afeshana, or now it's called Uzbekistan. He is considered to be the father of modern medicine.
So, when we ask the student this question, what was Ibn Sina, or what is Ibn Sina called? What is he called in our world, the let's say the Arabic world, or this area? Not only here, all over the world.
All over
Ibn
the world,
Sina
he-
is called the father
of
modern
modern
medicine.
medicine.
Yes.
What did he write, Miss Lujay? What book did he write?
He wrote
Canon of Medicine.
Canon of Medicine, yes. He did many achievements.
Canon here is an Arabic word.
Yes.
Maybe it refers
Law.
to some laws,
Yes.
some rules
Yes,
in
it's the
medicine.
same meaning as
Yes.
law, yes.
Yes.
قانون.
Because we say in Arabic, Qanun,
Yes,
in English,
of
it is
medicine.
written
Yes.
Canon of Medicine.
Law of
Yes.
medicine, yes.
So this was one of his most famous books, in fact, Canon of Medicine. And it contains, how many volumes does the book contain, Miss Lucia?
14 volumes.
14 volumes.
Yes.
14
14
volumes in
sections maybe.
Canon
volumes,
of Medicine.
yes.
And the book includes Arabic
What did
medical
he
lore.
write about in this book? What did he mention?
Arabic medical lore and personal experience, and it's considered one of the most famous books
Yes.
in the history of medicine.
Good.
Because he's considered the father of modern medicine,
Yes.
actually.
So he wrote many things. He wrote about the human body, surgery, treatments. Ibn Sina studied medicine and treated the sick. And also he described the symptoms of illnesses, accurately. When we say symptoms here, what do we mean by that? He described the symptoms of illnesses. We know that when we want to talk about an illness, there must be some
Symptoms.
Any
symptoms,
sign of
conditions maybe,
illness. Any sign of illness.
signs of
Yes.
illness.
Like
Signs of
temperature.
illnesses. Yes, temperature, tiredness maybe,
yes, weakness.
numbness, we
Yes,
don't know.
numbness, yes.
Many things, signs, as you said.
Signs of
So,
illness.
what we can see when we look at the patient, there are some symptoms, some signs that he is sick.
Yes.
This man is ill
Yes.
because he has a fever, maybe high temperature,
temperature.
low temperature.
Yes.
Is maybe shivering
Numbness,
a little bit.
weakness, yes.
Weakness, no strength to stand up. Maybe he
Yes.
he feels that he is weak.
Yes.
So all these are called symptoms.
Symptoms.
Good. Accurately. So Ibn Sina tried to explain all these symptoms of illnesses
Accurately.
In an accurate way.
in an accurate way. What do you mean by it?
Specific.
Exactly,
Exact.
or he was, let's say, or he explained exactly what happens to the patient when he is,
Or the
when he
symptoms
has
of each
such
illness.
illnesses.
The most
Yes.
important contribution for Avicenna is
Yes.
diabetes. He explained everything about diabetes and the symptoms about it.
All the symptoms.
Until now, doctors read his works and get benefit
Good.
from it.
Yes.
Good, thank you very much. Now we can talk about Al-Razi.
Yes.
Al-Razi also was a doctor, a philosopher, and a scholar, and he was born in the year
1865 CE.
CE.
Yes.
What did Al-Razi write, Miss Lujay?
He wrote...
How many books, for example?
Yes, he wrote over 50 books.
And articles.
Yes,
When
and
we say
articles.
articles, this word, what do you mean by the word articles? Means essays, written,
Essays,
short pieces or
Yes.
long
Pieces
pieces
of
of writing.
writings.
And texts, yes, maybe they are written in newspapers or magazines. He traveled to many lands. What did he do during his life?
He
Miss
was,
Lucia.
he was the director of 2 hospitals and was very kind to his patients.
So he was very kind to patients.
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
was
He
known for-
treated patients
he was
in
known
a
for
nice
his
way, friendly. He
kindness.
was friendly.
Yes.
Yes.
And he based his studies on accurate observation of the illnesses of his patients, because he depended on observation in order to get the solutions and treat.
And he was the
treat
first doctor to explain or to describe
Allergies.
allergies.
allergy.
What do you mean by this word?
Allergy.
Allergy is something
yes.
you have when you contact with something that makes you ill, like such as animals or flowers.
Good.
Nowadays, many people have the allergies in the
Yes, because
first
we are in
spring.
March now.
Yes,
Some people, let's say, are sensitive a little
yes,
bit.
yes.
And
Because of the flowers,
yes,
yes, at the beginning of spring.
You're right, because
Yes.
of the weather.
Yes,
It's
Maybe
time
some
of
sands
allergy.
in the air.
yes.
Yes. Okay.
Other people have allergies from animals. This is called allergy.
Yes.
It makes some people ill, really ill. Yes.
And not only animals or the weather, maybe some foods
Yes, some food.
cause allergy,
Yes.
right? He even wrote a medical manual for the ordinary person. Now, what about Galen? Maybe this man is not well known in the Arab world. I mean, our students know about Ibn Sina, they know about Al-Razi. They have heard of these two names, of course, but maybe they haven't heard
About Galen.
about Galen. So what do we, or what can you tell them about Galen?
Galen is an ancient Greek doctor who lived in the Roman Empire. Born in 131 CE in Turkey, he studied medicine at a famous medical school in Alexandria in Egypt. He worked as a surgeon in a gladiator school and learned about injuries. He did eye operations which weren't done again until modern times.
Maybe you are reading from the old edition. Am I right?
Yes.
Galen
Okay.
studied medicine at a famous medical school in Egypt. He worked as a surgeon. What do you mean by the word surgeon? A person or a doctor who does
Who makes an operation.
Operation.
surgical operation. I mean, when we talk about surgery, it is the science in which, in medicine, of course, in which the doctor treats people when he cuts the skin or
Cuts
the
the
flesh
body, yes.
to treat something or to take out something maybe, or,
Yes. Or
to
to put
repair
in
something, or
something.
to put in something, or to correct or to repair
Yes.
something in the human body. So this is surgery.
Yes.
And surgeon, this is the man, he is a doctor, he is a specialist in this field in surgery. We call him a surgeon.
Yes, a
So,
surgeon.
yes. He learned
a
about
person.
injuries and did eye operations. Eye operations. So his operations were in the eye,
Yes, he's an eye doctor.
right?
Yes.
Eye operations. He studied, what did he study?
Okay.
He studied how blood moves round all
The body.
Yes.
Yes. What did he write?
He wrote many books, including 17-volume books on medicine and anatomy.
Good. Anatomy.
Yes.
Anatomy. Maybe some students don't know the meaning of this word. It is also a science which studies
The science of the body.
body.
the human
of
body,
The human body.
the parts of the human body,
Yes.
and how they work, maybe the functions of each part in the
Yes.
human body, right?
It's called anatomy.
Yes. Doctors continued studying Galen until the 16th century.
Yes.
Now, what do you know, or what do we know about Hippocrates? Hippocrates. Again, he was an ancient Greek doctor. When was he born?
Yes, you can say.
You know the answer, both of you.
Born in 460 BCE
Yes.
in the island of Kos, Greece. He is
Okay.
known as the father of medicine.
Yes,
This is
Hippocrates.
The father of medicine.
yes, this is the most important thing, that he's the father of medicine.
What was his work based on?
He based his work on observation, the description of symptoms.
When we say, Miss Lucia, observation, to observe something is
To watch
it,
carefully.
to watch it carefully. So by observation, he based his work on observation. The description of symptoms, the study of
Human body
human body, and
And talking
to patients.
why did he used to
patients.
talk to patients? There must be a reason. Because
They can describe their symptoms. sometimes.
Because their answers are very important to him.
To the
maybe to
treatment.
describe
Yes.
the symptoms of illnesses.
Yes.
How they felt, right? Or how they feel
So this helped
in
him.
each situation.
Helped him to find the right treatment.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. He believed in the importance of rest. What else?
Good diet, fresh air.
Yes,
And-
and he was the first doctor to
and
say
hygiene.
that.
Yes.
Yes,
Now the
hygiene.
word hygiene. It's very important to explain this word to the students.
And it's a keyword actually in the
Yes.
Unit 5,
Yes.
because all
So
of
what
it
does
is
it
about
mean here?
hygiene.
What is hygiene?
It's about health,
Health.
the study of health.
Yes. So he was the first doctor to say that thoughts and feelings
Yes,
came from the heart,
the heart,
Or the
course,
brain.
and the brain. Yes,
the brain. Am I right?
yes.
Yes. What else?
And the most important thing is that till now we've got the Hippocratic oath, which doctors say before they start doing the medical operations and keeping the patient's secrets and teach medicine to the next generation.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we have covered this text very well. I hope that the students now have a good idea about all these scientists. Now, we have an exercise, in fact, at page maybe 45.
Yes.
Yes, it is exercise 1. We can watch it. We can do it. Here, these words are very important in the text.
Yes.
And we have some words on the left and their meanings on the right. So here the student has to match the words with
It's
the
a match.
definitions.
Match
Let's try to do
exercise.
this exercise. We have
Yes.
injury, allergy, Miss Lucia and Miss Lejane,
Yeah.
please.
Yes. Injury, 1, means hurt, such as a cut to the body.
Hurt or such as a cut to the body. It
Yes.
is a hurt. Yes.
Allergy, when you have contact with something that makes you ill, such as an animal or flower, so
Yes.
it's called allergy.
Allergy.
Yes. Surgery, an operation when doctors cut your body.
Yes.
Treatment, medicine or medical care to cure you.
Yes, to treat you, to cure you. Yes.
Symptoms, signs of illness, such as a temperature.
The last one, hygiene, the rules for keeping you and your surroundings clean.
Yes,
Yes.
it is C. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we can go on to Unit 6 to talk about water. As you know, this issue or this subject is or has become one of the important,
Most important
let's say,
subjects.
issues in the 21st century. Because most countries nowadays suffer from this
The lack
problem, the lack of water,
water.
because the weather or the climate, because we are now all over the world maybe facing climate change.
Shortage of water.
Climate change. So because of this, maybe some of the consequences is the lack of water or shortages of water, as you said, Miss Lucia. But most people need clean water. Not most people, all people.
all of us.
All people, all of us
us
need
need.
clean water. So clean water is essential for healthy living, right? But maybe in some parts of the world, as I said, some people are suffering from the lack of water. Would you please give us an idea about some of these regions, some of these countries, where, for example, can you give us some examples?
Actually, this problem appears most of the time in Africa and in Al-Sahara Desert because they don't have resources for water.
Because they don't
and
have rain. in fact.
They don't have rain, and actually they need to dig wells in order to get a resource for taking just clean
Yes.
water. And we've got seas that are not good for just drinking water or use them as a source for clean water. In this case, most of the African countries need just to take clean or fresh water from the wells.
Good.
And most of the girls and women just leave school and go just to get the water from the wells.
So in the text, there is a word mentioned here, which is water aid. Water aid. What is water aid, Miss Lujane, please? What is water aid?
Water aid is
It is in line 3. It is mentioned in line 3.
Yes, it's a charity that helps people all over the world to get safe, clean water. It's water. It's
So
called,
it is a charity
it's called water.
that helps people in Africa
Yes.
to get
From
safe,
the meaning
clean
of
water.
its name, we can know what
Water
does
aid.
it. Water
So
aid.
is help.
Yes,
means
help,
help.
help.
So water aid, it is the name of a charity.
Yes.
This
That helps
charity
people all over the world
Is known
to
as water aid.
yes, to find clean, safe water. Dig wells.
Yes.
Also, they help people to dig wells.
Yes.
Install pumps
And learn about.
and learn about hygiene.
Good.
Yes.
So there is a story, of course. Maybe the speaker here in the story he said, before I visited a village in Sudan. It is about Sudan.
Yes.
And as we know, Sudan is in Africa. In some parts of Sudan, maybe, some people suffer from the lack of water. Am I right?
Yes.
So here,
Unfortunately.
what about this man? He had only seen life in the big African cities. What did he say about African cities, Miss Lucia?
He just said that before the charity helped them in their community to dig a well, they just suffered a lot to get clean water. But after that, after the water aid helped them, and for their just luck, the well was near them, so they just get the water and let us say reduce the diseases in the village, because they got now clean water and they now can just reduce the level of illnesses in their village.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, in general, we can talk about water, as I said, as an important issue or an essential issue in our daily life or in our life nowadays. We have another text, in fact, about water in life, which is in Unit 6. And now we can talk about water as a natural resource. I mean, how people suffer, especially in Africa, in some developing countries, I mean, from the lack of water. Let's talk about the percentage. In fact, if we want to talk about water, okay, water is found everywhere. But what about fresh water? I mean the drinking water. I mean the water which can be drunk.
Unfortunately, is only 1%.
Unfortunately, it is only 1%.
1%.
Okay, we know that we have seas, we have oceans everywhere, we have rivers
Drinkable
everywhere.
water is only.
But if we want to talk about the fresh water, the percentage, the real percentage, the accurate percentage of
unfortunately,
clean water or fresh water, which is, let's say, which can be drunk, as Ms. Lujane said, it is
1%.
Unfortunately 1%.
And unfortunately, Mr. Bassel, not only for drinking, for washing, cooking,
Of course.
growing food. So we need fresh water, not only for drinking.
Yes.
And it's only 1%.
Yes. As you know, in richer countries, the percentage of this water, I mean, differs. I mean, the man or the person in richer countries
Consumes,
an amount of water
yes.
which is not like the amount of water which is not the same
That is consumed
amount
less.
the person uses in developing countries.
Yes, yes.
For example, as it is mentioned in the text, in richer countries,
In
what
richer
about the
countries,
percentage?
they use over 250 liters per person a day.
Yeah.
But in the developing countries, we have only 20 to 40 liters a day per person if they find fresh water.
Good.
If they find, we've
That's
got
it.
only 20
So,
to 40.
and only
So
20
this
to
is the
40.
average.
Exactly. Now, if we want to talk about now some developing countries, we know that there must be someone who is responsible in the family to bring water to the family.
Women are.
So in developing countries, who is responsible to bring water?
Women and girls are
Women and
responsible for bringing water.
Yes, they are
They even
usually
leave school
responsible.
just to bring water.
Yes.
So
As
they
in the
waste
story
time.
before,
They waste their time.
Why?
They couldn't get
Because sometimes
the
they need to
education
go
they need.
or to travel a long distance.
Yes.
Yes.
More maybe than 5 kilometers, 10
Yes.
kilometers to
Yes.
reach the well
So-
and bring clean water to their families.
So they
they
abandon
waste a lot of
school.
time
Yes.
when they go there. I think this is the job of the water aid, to dig wells,
Yes.
new wells
Yes.
for those villages in order to make the girls and women not to waste time going there to
This
bring
is not
clean
the
water.
only
Bring water.
Actually, this is not the only problem for women and girls.
What else?
Pregnant women can suffer from the
Yes.
lack of clean water. They need it for
So
the
especially
needs of their
pregnant women
newborn
need
babies.
clean water for
Yes,
their babies.
of course.
Yes.
And diseases concerning this killed up to 10 million children because of the lack of fresh
Because
water.
there are diseases in the
Yes.
water which is not clean. So this is a big problem, I think. And those developing or these developing countries suffer from this problem. We hope that in the future, of course, there are many organizations all over the world, many charities maybe, which work hard to help those people living in developing countries to solve their problems, especially to get clean water, as we said. Now we can go on to the activity book. I think in the activity book in Unit 5, maybe at page 28, we have an exercise which is exercise 2 here at page 28, as I said, right?
Yes, yes.
Here, look at the rubric. Let's read the rubric. Let me start with you, Miss Lucia. I'd like you to, would you please do the exercise for the
Yes.
students?
Write sentences with just or yet. Use the words beside the pictures. Number 1, she / drink her tea. The answer is she hasn't drunk her tea yet, because in the picture we have a picture of a cup of tea
Which
which
is
is not
still full.
Yes, which is not drunk yet. So here we have to put she hasn't drunk her tea yet because the action is not complete.
Yes.
And as we've said before, yet is put at the end of the sentence, and the form of the present perfect is has plus the
It's a
verb
good
in the
practice
past
for the
participle.
student, to know whether the action has been done or not. If it hasn't been done, they need to use yet.
Yet.
If it has been done, they
We
need
have
to use
possibilities of
just.
just, already.
Yes, yes, yes. But here in the rubric, the students, what is required from the students is to write sentences with just or yet.
Yes,
That's it.
only just.
Okay, let's go on to
picture
number 1
2.
now. The picture number 2.
It's about a cut onion. So she cut the onions. The answer is she has just cut the onions.
Because it is
the
cut.
picture
They
is,
are cut.
Yes, the onions are cut.
Yes,
So we use just.
yes.
Number 3, he / received the letter. The answer
There
is
is a letter.
yes, there is a letter
So
in the picture. She has just received the letter because in the picture we
he
just
he has-
recently,
yes.
in the recent past, we find something which is a letter in front of us, so we have to put just. And of course, just is between the main verb and has.
Thank you.
Yes. In the next picture, we have a plate full of food. So he and eat his lunch. He hasn't eaten his lunch yet because the plate is still full.
Yes. Thank
Number 5, she / win a prize. Here, she has just won a prize because in front of us
You can
is
see
the
a
picture
prize.
of the prize, and we have to put just here.
you. Yes.
They sell their house. The house in the picture, there is a sign for sale. So they haven't sold their house yet.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we can go on to page page 29. Yes, the next page. Here we have in exercise 5 some, let's say, words in the list which refer maybe to some pains or illnesses sometimes, or symptoms sometimes. So let's try to fill in the spaces.
Okay.
We have the words in the list: earache, headaches, sore throat, sprained, stomachache, temperature, and toothache.
Toothache.
Now, what
Number
about this
one.
exercise?
I feel terrible. I'm coughing. And I've got a sore throat too. It hurts when I speak.
Good.
And actually, Mr. Basil, today I've got sore throat.
Cool.
2. I ate too much. I have got
Sorry to hear that, of course.
Yes.
I ate too much. I have got a stomach ache. Now, we have some keywords that lead us to to choose this word. I ate too much, so my stomach. I have a stomach ache now.
Number 3, I was playing tennis when I fell and sprained my ankle. So I can't play for a few days.
Good.
The same is applied concerning the word sprain, because he played tennis, he sprained his ankle.
I feel very hot. I'm sure I have got a high temperature.
Number 5, I've got water in my ears after swimming, and it's giving me a terrible earache,
Terrible.
because he just swam and we
Yes.
have earache in his ears.
I must go to the dentist. I got a toothache.
I've got
A toothache.
a toothache.
Yes.
Number 7, my head hurts. I often get headaches like this when I haven't slept well.
Very nice. Now we can talk about Unit 6. We can do the exercise 6, sorry. Complete the dialogue. We have a dialogue here. Exercise 6. Use the present perfect and the past simple. Now here, I think it's a good practice, a good comparison between these two
For
tenses.
students to differentiate between
Yes.
simple past and
Yes.
Yes.
Let's try to do it, please.
yes.
Omar, have you ever been to hospital, Hani? Yes, I was in hospital about five weeks ago.
So let's stop here.
Let's
Yes.
stop here, yes.
Let's talk about the first question and the answer. Omar asked Hani an important question, and because here we have ever, this is number 1. Secondly,
This is a
we don't
sign.
have a specific time.
Yes.
He's asking Hani about an experience or his experience in life in general. There is no specific time. Have you ever been to hospital, Hani?
Here
Have
we
you
have-
ever experienced this before?
Here we have
That's
two
it.
signs, ever, and at the same time, no
don't-
specific,
No
time
specific
is
time.
mentioned.
Good.
Yes.
But in the answer, we've got the sentence which is
Ago.
5
Ago.
weeks ago.
Yes, so we have
Here,
a specific time.
we have a specific time, and we have to put past simple.
I was in hospital about 5 weeks ago. Good.
Yes, Omar, what happened to you?
Of course, what happened?
What happened in the
Yes.
simple past?
Yes.
Hani, he has to answer in the simple past. I was on my way to school one day when I slipped. Also simple past. We continue with the
Slipped.
simple past. Yes. And fell. Past of fall. Off school bus.
We've got and here we
And,
have
yes.
past simple.
I broke my wrist,
I
or
broke
I have
my
broken.
wrist.
I broke, right?
Yes, and I have only just.
We have just here.
Yes, here started.
Yes.
Writing properly again. Here we have just, and it's a sign of the present perfect. We put here have plus the verb in the past participle.
Yes. Number 9.
Badly. Number 9.
It's a question. Have you ever
Have you ever hurt your
self
badly? No, I haven't. The answer is with haven't. Luckily, I sprained my ankle once in a basketball match, but nothing more serious than that.
Very nice. So it's good to do this exercise. It was good to do it because
To know the
it's,
difference
as I
between
said,
simple past
a
and
good
present perfect.
attempt to make the students distinguish
Differentiate, yes.
between these two tenses.
Yes.
Let's go on to page 30 maybe. Page 30, yes. We have at page 30 we have another text, in fact, about a person called Brian. And Brian is a surgical nurse.
nurse.
She's a surgical nurse. No, he. Brian is a name of a male,
A male.
not a female. He did this specialized course after he qualified as a nurse, so he is a nurse. What can you tell us about Brian What else?
He is qualified and he has several years of experience working in critical care and emergency, caring about his patients.
Now, let's ask about the surgical nurse now. What is the job of the surgical nurse or of a surgical nurse? Miss Lujane, can you answer this question, please?
Yes.
In the second paragraph,
Yes.
it is mentioned here.
He
Yes.
says that, he said, I give the patient a drug to make them fall asleep before we start the operation.
Yes.
And it works after about half a minute. They won't feel anything or know anything from,
Good.
yes,
So in general, the job of the surgical, let's say, nurse is to assist the surgeons,
Yes.
to help them
yes,
during the operation.
yes.
So if the surgeon needs something, the nurse will be ready
To
help
hand.
him. Yes, that's it. Maybe to give him
To hand them
to
the
hand
right equipment.
some equipment or an equipment during the operation. Very nice. Now, I think the students in their classrooms with the teachers read this text, but maybe we have something else to do. Let's go on to page 32 at Unit 6. Here there must be some exercises which I consider or we consider important for the students. Exercise 1 at page 31, please.
Make sentences, use the words in brackets.
Yes.
Number 1. A tourist stopped to ask me for directions. He, between two brackets, lose his map. Here we have to put had lost, because here we've got past perfect, something which happened in the past before
Yes.
another action also happened in the past. Here, had lost happened before the
So
tourist stopped.
Why did he stop? Why did the tourist stop me?
He had lost his map.
Because he had lost his map. Then he wanted to
So
ask
first
about
he
the
had
directions.
lost his map, then he
Yes.
asked me about the direction.
Yes, in the second sentence also we have two actions. Hussein had a stomach ache. He had eaten too much sweets. He had eaten too much sweets, so he had
That's why he had a
a
stomach,
stomach
ache.
ache. Yes. So had eaten. Yes, 3.
Number 3, they weren't home when I rang them. They had already gone out. They had already gone out first, then we rang them. So something which happened in the past before another action also in the past.
Our team lost the match. We, between two brackets, not practice, we write hadn't practiced enough.
The last one, number 5, when we went to the restaurant, we realized that it had closed down.
Good. Now, what about exercise 2? Here in the rubric, join the sentences and use the past perfect.
Okay,
Number 1 is done.
it's done.
Carol learned to speak 3 languages. This is the first action. She went to school. This is action number 2. Now, before she went to school, Carol had learned to speak 3 languages.
Yes.
What about number 2?
Number 2, she got married. She was 21. By the time she was 21, she had got married. Here, we linked between the two sentences by putting by the time she was 21, she had got married, and we put she had got married in the past.
It means
perfect.
here that she got married before she was 21.
21.
Yes.
So
Before the beginning
action before another
of
action in the past.
this year. Yes.
Yes, my friends left. I arrived at the restaurant. When I arrived at the restaurant, my friends had left. Yes.
Number 4, he grew a mustache. He looked so different. He looked so different because he had grown a mustache.
Very nice.
Yes.
Now, number 5.
The lesson.
Complete sentences with
The
who
lesson
or
ended,
which.
number 5.
Yes.
I spoke to the teacher. Now, after the lesson ended, or had ended, maybe, I spoke to the teacher.
Yes.
So the lesson ended, then
I spoke to the teacher.
I spoke to the teacher. Am I right? So here, because the first action is the lesson, after the lesson had ended, I spoke to the teacher. What about number 6 now? Their car broke down on the way. They were late.
Yes.
So
they were late.
Why?
Because
their car
had broken down on the way.
On the way.
Yes.
It stopped. It had stopped on the way. So that's why they were late.
Yes.
There was a reason.
2 actions.
2 actions. Now,
yes.
Exercise number 3. In exercise number 3, we have a nice story about Mark, someone called Mark. And Mark, as it is mentioned here, had finished his university studies, and then he wanted to work somewhere. So let's try to complete this text with the past simple or the past perfect. Now, when we feel that there is an action which happened earlier or before, we need to use the past perfect. That's it.
Yes.
When Mark had finished his university studies, he went to work in Uganda. Of course, he had finished, then he went to Uganda. A few months earlier, he had read about a project there. A charity had started building schools in villages, and they needed more volunteers.
Yes, when Mark arrived in Uganda, he was surprised to see how much the charity had already done.
Mm-hmm.
They had cleared trees to mark space for the school, They had dug a well to create water supply for the school, and they had employed a teacher. The children were so excited about their new building. Yes.
They had never studied in a classroom before, only outside. A few months earlier, they had written letters to schools in other parts of the world, and people had sent them books and classroom equipment. Mark had planned to stay for a year, but after the year had ended.
After the year ended.
Yes, after. So it had ended.
After the year had ended, he
decided to stay longer. He said.
We can say ended here. In fact.
Yes, in fact, we can.
Sorry, we can use the simple past.
Yes.
Why? Because we have the word after.
After.
So the students should know something else here, something which is very important. When we have 2 clauses and we have the words after or before in the same sentence, then the relation between the 2 actions is very clear, and the word after or before refers to us which action happened which action happened next. So in this case, we can use the simple past.
Yes.
So ended is correct, and had ended is correct in this situation.
The last one, he said he had never felt so useful and so satisfied with the job before.
Yes, thank you very much. I think that's enough for today, because time is over. Dear students, we hope that everything is clear to you now in Unit 5 and in Unit 6. Of course, we will meet later to talk about Unit 7 and Unit 8. We will try all our best to finish most of the units in your book. Dear students, dear colleagues, at the end of this seminar, let me thank my colleagues, Miss Lucia Karim, an English supervisor from Aleppo. Thanks for coming from Aleppo.
Thank you
for your participation.
Thank you.
And Miss Lujain Al-Nuqari, this is the first time for you. Thanks a lot for your participation. A teacher from Homs. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bassi.
Thank you for your participation. Till we meet, dear students, in other seminars. We wish you all the best. This is Bassi Sadiq speaking from the Syrian Education Channel. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.